Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. So, yeah, sorry for little delay. So, since morning, everything is not going in a right as per plan. So, I went to the temple and I forgot the altar keys. So that's why it got delay. So once again, sorry for that. Okay. So this verse, Yad Utaham Tvaya Prishto Vairajat Purushat Idam Yathasit Tad Upakshyaste Prashnan Anyamscha Krishnaha. So Sukadev Goswami is saying to King Parikshit Maharaj. So now Parikshit Maharaj is coming back to the point, like, so he Parikshit Maharaj asked different question. In a previous chapter we saw, 8th chapter, he asked almost 30 questions, which consist of various topic. And Parikshit Maharaj has, desire to understand more about the Lord, hear more about Krishna Katha, because he realized that that is the only way by which we can deliver from this clutches of Maya. That is the ultimate goal. No? If you hear the Krishna Katha, and as we know, when Parikshit Maharaj about to die, there were so many sages were present in that location. So many, and they were from different background, not only in a bhakti, but they are from Ashtanga Yoga background. They were from Karma Yoga backgrounds. They were from impersonalist background. Someone were Hatha Yoga, and fruitive. What do you call? There are so many sages, and when Parikshit Maharaj asked, okay, tell me unanimously that what is the ultimate duty of a living entity, especially those who are dying, and in general, what should one have goal in his life? 2 questions he asked, and he wanted to unanimously get that. Then there was a bewilderment between these sages. Oh, okay. Karma Yogi says things. Okay, no, one should perform the karma duty, and that is the best process in this Kali Yuga, because without doing any activities, we cannot live. And impersonalist may think, okay, one should meditate on the impersonal Brahman. One should concentrate on Brahman and keep the goal. Hare Krishna, someone is saying something, or it was mistake? Okay, that's okay. Okay, so in the impersonalist may think the ultimate goal is to merge into Brahman, because Brahman is the ultimate realization. And Jnani Yogis think one should develop the knowledge, ultimate knowledge, and by that knowledge acquiring process, one can elevate to the higher goal. And the Paramatma Yogi may think that, okay, one should meditate on the Paramatma. That is the ultimate goal of that. And a Bhakti Yogi says, no, one should perform the devotional service onto the Supreme Lord Krishna, because that is the ultimate goal. So there were different opinion in that there were different opinion Parishit Maharaj received. So how to understand this? That's why they were completely not able to answer, and they all thought of Sukadev Goswami, who can answer this question unanimously, because Sukadev Goswami was elevated and so scholar that time, and they all know, and that's why Sukadev Goswami came and answered the question. Now Parishit Maharaj has desired, apart from he asked many questions and he got the answer, and now he wanted to know further, more detail, because he wants to continuously hear this Krishna Katha till his last breath. And that's why we see that in the previous chapter he asked various questions. And Sukadev Goswami answered them, some of them, by referring to Brahma and Lord Narayana Sambad. Okay, and he also answered some of them by his realization. And apart from that, now in the previous verse we see that he he wanted to describe, he wanted to answer this question based on Narada and Brahma discussion. So now in this verse he says, "O king, your questions as to how the universe become manifested from the gigantic form." One of the questions, right? The personality of Godhead, as well as other questions, I shall answer in detail by explanation of the 4 verses already mentioned. Okay, so he will take the reference from that 4 verses, and he will further describe on that. So we saw that in previous verse it says that the 10 characteristics, right? It will be discussed in the next chapter, the 10 subject matter of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam will be discussed. So this is the end of this chapter, and Prabhupada says that, as stated in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, this great transcendental literature is the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic knowledge, and therefore all questions that can be humanly possible regarding the universal affairs beginning from its creation are all answered in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The answer depends only on the qualification of the person who explained them. The 10 divisions of Srimad Bhagavatam, as explained by the great speaker Srila Sukadev Goswami, are the limitation of all questions, and intelligent persons will derive all intellectual benefit from them by proper utilization. So this rest all the Bhagavatam talks about the 10 division or 10 characteristics of this entire knowledge. So we'll discuss this starting from 10th chapter. And 10th chapter is the last chapter in 2nd canto, and it's very interesting chapter. Also in the 10th chapter we see the universal creation, everything. Now we may think why this universal description is described again and again, and this will be the 3rd time we will be discussing. First time we discussed in the second canto, initial verses, initial chapter. Then again we discussed from Brahman Narad Sambad, the entire creation, like whole Pradhan and Mahatattva, all the series we discussed it. And again we'll be discussing this Tattva in the upcoming cantos. In the 3rd canto it will continue, because the 10 divisions of entire knowledge consist of atra, visarga, creation and sub-creation. So more detail. So what do you think that the same thing is repeated again and again? Because the universal creation process, this will be the third time. And what do you think? Like, is it the same thing it is repeated, or it is something different? What could be the reason of bringing this universal creation again and again?
To help the remaining souls go back home.
Yeah, the reason, the reason, everything, it's not that the same thing. You see that, I mean, sometimes when we hear the lectures from various devotees, the same topic we receive most of the time, but every time the devotee speaks, the element of his realization will be there, isn't it? The topic is there, the subject matter is there. On top of that, he will add his realization. So that's why it always feels it's a different. It may not be same. So that's what happening. We discussed universal creation already 2 times. The first time it's described by Suta Goswami and everything, and second time Brahma Sukadev Goswami referred from Brahma Narada Sambad. Brahma is explaining. So again, third time we'll discuss some other personality will be talking about that. I mean, Sukadev Goswami is talking about that, and Sukadev Goswami add his realization. So every time we see this topic, some different devotees is speaking. So that's why they have their realization element within that. The main topic is same, but the way the explaining the realization will be differ from each time we discuss. So that's why we see, and we every time we read, every devotee speaks, we will come to know something new. Okay, so let's see what will be there in again the creation process when you discuss the third canto, first chapters. I think, yeah, that's all for today. So this is the last words. Is there any question or comment from anyone? Come to know something new. Okay.
Prabhuji, repeat. I didn't get that last point. Prabhuji, what is this again? What is this in this verse? It is saying exactly. It is asking, like he said that I already discussed in the 4 verses. In clear, all the questions are answered. So to continue, what is the point that you are explaining, Prabhuji?
So what I'm saying, the creation process, right? The universal creation process. In the Bhagavatam, it's already discussed twice. Okay, in the first canto, and again we discussed in 3rd and 4th chapter, and again in the third canto, beginning of 3rd canto, again the universal creation process will be discussed. So my question was, why it is discussed multiple time? Is it like same thing it is repeated, or we find something new? So that's what I was talking.
Okay.
And as I said, that every time we discuss, some different personality is talking about this. So the subject matter will be same, but apart from that, the additional element will be their realization. Okay, so that is why we understand some new thing.
Okay.
Yeah, here Sukadev Goswami is saying that, see, the gist of Bhagavatam is 4 verses which Narayana already spoke to Brahma, the Chatursloki Bhagavatam. Now, then what is that? Then is that Srimad Bhagavatam is over? We understood the 4 verses. That's the whole essence of all Srimad Bhagavatam. Then why do we need remaining 10th chapter? We just at the 2nd chapter. But the idea is that, as in the previous verse we discussed, the Srimad Bhagavatam is the vast knowledge, even though we read 4 million verses also, it is not enough. It needs more explanation, more realization. And that's why we discuss more detail on each subject by canto by canto, canto by canto.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So that's why here Prabhupada says the 10 divisions of Srimad Bhagavatam as explained by great speaker Srila Sukadeva Goswami are the limitation of all question. An intelligent person will derive all intellectual benefit from them by proper utilization. So we need more. Okay, thank you. So now we'll discuss the entire chapter summary. So Aparna Mataji, are you ready, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, yeah. I turned on my video, and yes, my humble obeisances to you, Rasraj Prabhuji, and to everyone present today in the class. I think I just missed Gita Mala Mataji, but my humble obeisances to Jiva Mataji and Gita Mala Mataji, and also Dandavat Pranam to my mother, who is my first guru, and my Mausi also, Pratibha. Actually, my mother's name, you can see it as Aruna Vitkar, and my Mausi is Pratibha, my mother's youngest sister. So they have all the sanskaras, the best sanskaras that I have got is from them since my childhood. And they have always inspired me spiritually ever since I was a little child. So I'm totally indebted to them for the rest of my life. And Rasraj Prabhuji, so much gratitude towards you. I'm really, really thankful to you for giving me this opportunity. And I'm actually not at all eligible and I'm not at all qualified to speak anything on this divine subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam, but you have been very kind and trusted me this responsibility. At the same time, I ask for forgiveness from all of you, because I know I'm going to make a lot of mistakes today, and I might have missed out on certain important points also during the compilation of this summary. But I will sincerely try my best, and I seek everybody's blessings. Also, all glories to Gurudev and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So this, with your permission, I would like to present the summary for chapter 9 today from the second canto. And this summary I have split into two parts. The first part is the summary, of course, based on the chapter itself and all the knowledge Prabhuji has been imparting upon us. And the second part that I have compiled is actually Rasraj Prabhuji always shares so much of information, so much of knowledge, so much of his realizations. And I thought that whatever little I have absorbed, whatever little I have whatever little I have retained, I thought I will take some points from those realizations of Prabhuji and pen them down today, so that it is like a reminder for all of us, like just refreshing everything that Prabhuji has shared with us all along. And of course, this time it is in context with the verses that we have seen in chapter 9. In that context, I will present that as well. And this is a small appreciation or a tribute to Rasraj Prabhuji and our sincere gratitude through the second part of this summary. So really, really appreciate all your hard work and all your efforts in guiding us all along, Prabhuji. So with your permission, I think I will start the summary now. But Maharaj Parikshit has been asking many intelligent questions to Shukadeva Goswami. He was the best in the dynasty of the Pandus, and thus he was able to ask the right questions to the right authority, Srila Shukadeva Goswami. Here in this 9th chapter, more such questions were asked by Maharaj Parikshit, and an experienced teacher like Shukadeva Goswami answered all the questions in a systematic way in the order of disciplic succession. In the first verse, Sri Shukadeva Goswami answered Maharaj Parikshit's question. The question put forth is how a living entity began his material life, although he is apart from the material body and mind. Sri Shukadeva Goswami explains that the spirit soul is separate from the material conception of life, but when in pure consciousness, it tries to establish sambandha or relation with the external energy of the Lord called Atma Maya. Then the spirit soul is confused and bewildered by Maya and gets separated from Krishna. The spirit soul is then controlled by the external energy of the Lord and begins his material life. When the living entity comes back in pure consciousness, then he never forgets that he is not the Lord or the enjoyer, but that he is an eternal servitor of the Lord in pure transcendental love. There is absolutely no connection between the soul and body, but the soul identifies himself with the type of body he gets due to being in illusion of Maya. This is soul's own desire. Again, at the time of death, there is separation of spirit and matter. Every living entity is stuck with false ego of I and mine. This disease is called identity crisis. The Lord has given some amount of free will to every living entity, and he wishes that each soul should use his free will to return to him, back to Godhead in his pure consciousness. I am the eternal servitor of the Lord. This is the real conception of I and mine in the mode of pure consciousness. The whole Vedic literature teaches us this real meaning of I. When one is completely free from the disease of I and mine and remains untouched by the modes of material nature, that is the qualification for entering into the service of the Lord. Only through the science of Bhakti Yoga, one can remove the misconceptions of who is the Jivatma and who is the Paramatma. Atma Tattva is the science of God and the living entity. Brahmaji was able to see the transcendental form of the Lord when he underwent great penance in performing Bhakti Yoga. Brahmaji was told the Srimad Bhagavatam by the Lord in just 4 verses, which are also known as Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam. Knowledge of the transcendental spiritual sky can only be known by devotional service or Bhakti Yoga. Brahmaji was able to receive all this knowledge about the spiritual world as well as the material world through the Lord directly during his penance or tapa. Brahmaji was thus initiated by Sri Krishna himself by the Krishna mantra, and he became a Vaishnava. Therefore, he was able to construct a huge universe. The best way of understanding and receiving transcendental knowledge is to follow and accept the divine instructions from the right source and execute them without any doubt or speculation, with complete faith and surrender. Being extremely pleased with Brahmaji, the Lord showed Brahmaji his personal abode, Goloka Vrindavan. As long as one is overpowered by the material miseries, there is no question of entering into the Vaikuntha Lokas. The inhabitants of the Vaikuntha Loka planets are all Brahma Bhuta living entities. This means they are free from hankering and lamentation. The transcendental spiritual world of the Lord is eternal, everlasting, and unlimited. It contains the highest perfectional stage of living conditions. Everything in the transcendental world is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss, without past, present, and future in the estimation of time. The bodily features, complexion, dressing of the Vaikuntha Loka are completely different from our material universes. The people there enjoy many times higher facilities, amenities, and luxuries than what we can imagine here. The Supreme Lord, who is the supreme leader in his entire creation, is eternally surrounded by his immediate associates and the goddess of fortune. Lakshmi Devi, along with her associates, are constantly engaged in the loving service of the Lord. Amongst the Lord, material creative energy amongst the Lord's material creative energies, he is served by 25 elements and senses. He possesses 6 opulences and he is above all, and no one is equal to or greater than him. The Lord is so pleased by his unalloyed devotees who do not wish anything from him that he gives himself to them in exchange of their loving service. Brahmaji attained the highest perfectional stage, and hence he is a Paramhansa. Lord Brahma and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have recommended the Paramhansa Panth for any person, even in this age of Kali Yuga. The Lord himself instructed Brahmaji with all Vedic knowledge and gave him the great responsibility of diffusing this knowledge to all the conditioned souls and delivering them from this material world. Penance is equal to devotional service in transcendental love towards the Lord. Penance is the internal potency of the Lord. Such penance comes from non-attachment for material enjoyment, and this detachment is the result of perfect knowledge and by engagement in unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. Only love and penance together can please the Lord, and thus one is able to attain his complete mercy. The perfection of all desires is to align one's desires with the desires of the Supreme Lord. And when one desires to serve the Lord, is the perfection of our desires. Brahmaji asked the following questions to the Lord. First, how, in spite of your transcendental form, you assume the mundane form, although you have no such form at all? Second, how do you, by your own self, manifest different energies for annihilation, generation, acceptance, and maintenance by combination and permutation? All the agents of the Lord, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, and the Lord's creative energies are all emanations from the Lord. He is the supreme source of different diversities. We are all only instruments in the execution of all the activities on behalf of the Lord. In the conditioned state, the soul is an instrument under the grip of Guna Mayi Maya, or the external illusory energy of the Lord. And when the soul is in the liberated stage, the living entity is an instrument under the will of the Lord directly. To be an instrument under the direct will of the Lord is the natural constitutional position of the living entity, whereas to be an instrument under Maya is actually material bondage. Sometimes the Lord gives extraordinary powers to his pure devotees, but the devotee always knows that the powers belong to the Lord and that he is only an instrument in the hands of the Lord. One such example is Hanumanji, and of course there are more examples, and I think Srila Prabhupada is also one of the examples of this. Pure devotees of the Lord are surrendered souls, and hence they are above the illusory entanglement of Maya. Unless one is self-realized by the mercy of the Lord, no one can understand the knowledge about him. The supreme confidential wisdom may be attained by devotional service and unconditional love for him. To his faithful devotee, the Lord reveals himself in his form, quality, and pastimes. The Lord answers the 4 principal inquiries made by Brahmaji in 4 statements known as the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. Text 33 to text 36 are the 4 verses of Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. The 4 verses are as follows. What are the forms of the Lord, both in matter and in transcendence? Second, how are the different energies of the Lord working? Third, how does the Lord play with his different energies? Fourth, how may Brahmaji be instructed to discharge the duty entrusted to him? The form of the Lord exists in all circumstances of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. The Vaikuntha planets are full of transcendental variegatedness, and the Lord also exists with all of the transcendental variegatedness in the Vaikuntha lokas. The Lord is both impersonal and personal, and to be able to see the Lord, one has to spiritualize his senses. The Lord is personal and always performing some kind of activities or leelas. All the different energies that make every process possible are all related to the Lord. The correct way of looking at everything is in relationship with the Lord, which is called Yoga Maya, and wrong understanding of detaching everything from its relationship with the Lord is called the Lord's Daivi Maya or Mahamaya. Both these Mayas are part of the Lord's energies only. The Lord is separate from his energies, and yet he is simultaneously part of them. The Lord tells, anything not related to me is my Mahamaya energy, and everything related to my devotees is my Yogamaya energy. The ultimate stage of all inquiries in the highest consciousness is to reach the highest knowledge of the mystery of Bhakti Yoga. These 4 verses of Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam answer all the highest inquiries about self-realization. The 4 verses of the Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam are called the nucleus of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the original speaker is none other than the Lord himself. This knowledge can lead one to the Brahma Bhuta stage of realization, also known as the Atmaram stage. This is the liberated stage, a stage of detachment from the sensory activities, a stage of complete satisfaction. In the spiritual world, everything is full of knowledge or chetana, and therefore everything in the spiritual world is personal or individual. Our normal position is engaging the senses in the service of the Lord. Without becoming a Goswami, one cannot become a disciple or a spiritual master. Narada, the greatest of all sages, instructed Srimad Bhagavatam to Sri Vyasadeva and asked him to meditate upon the activities of the Supreme Lord. Narada's only business is to turn everyone to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The devotees are bhakti yogis, and they meditate upon the Brahma Paramam or the Supreme Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken to Brahmaji only in 4 verses, but these 4 verses can be expanded limitlessly up to one's own ability. It is unlimited in strength, and it is bigger than the unlimited sky. Such is the potency of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Shukadeva Goswami, being the most qualified person, has answered all the questions of Maharaj Parikshit most satisfactorily. Similarly, all intelligent persons can also draw intellectual benefits by the proper study of Srimad Bhagavatam under a bona fide spiritual master. Now I will start the part 2 of the summary, which is dedicated to Rasraj Prabhuji. Some of the points that he has told us are as follows. And these are the points that have personally resonated with me very deeply. So I thought I will repeat those for benefit of all. Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam help us remove our forgetfulness. Bhakti means reactivating our Krishna consciousness in our hearts. It's a process of generating love in our hearts for Krishna. When the intelligence is sharpened by the right kind of knowledge, then we can proceed on the path of bhakti. Based on what type of mode one is in, he will desire that type of body. A person in the mode of passion and ignorance will desire a body based upon his propensities and desires of his senses. But a person in the mode of pure goodness will desire no body and will go back to the spiritual world. Human form of life is only meant for living in the highest consciousness and following the instructions and teachings of the Lord, fulfilling only the Lord's desires. This is the highest perfection of human life. Desiring is very important. Desiring takes one to the stage of deserving. Spiritual desires lead to deserving spiritual gains. Definition of bhakti: the conclusion of every chapter and every verse is bhakti in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Developing love, service attitude, and knowing our constitutional position is bhakti. Re-establishing our relationship with Krishna is bhakti. What is extreme condition of happiness? Extreme condition of happiness means only when we are connected with Krishna and everything that is connected with Krishna. Unless we get mercy from Krishna, we cannot get bhakti. We are impure souls and bhakti is pure. Impure cannot come in contact with the pure. What we all require is Satam Kripa, Vaishnav Kripa, and Krishna's Kripa. All are required to purify us and bring us closer to bhakti. Lord Krishna is defeated by Ladini Shakti only by our love, like Radharani. We need to work hard to develop that kind of love for Krishna. All the Lakshmis are waiting for their turn when they can serve Krishna. There are 4 energies surrounding the Lord: Dharma, Jnana, Aishwarya, and Vairagya. All energies of the Lord are described in the Brahma Purana. The pre-qualification that is required to receive knowledge from the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita is complete surrender to the Lord. To receive knowledge with our own endeavor is not possible. It's very easy to understand the Lord's greatness, but very difficult to understand his sweetness. It's very difficult to understand his real nature. We need sincere efforts and complete surrender to Krishna ji, and only then he will completely reveal himself to us. The Lord says, I am attainable only to those for whom I am the only goal of their life. Srimad Bhagavatam gives us the ultimate and topmost realization, which is the Bhagavan realization. Anartha Nivritti is very important for our spiritual growth. The 6 anarthas or impurities that we possess are pride, anger, illusion, greed, attachment, lust. Our goal is to cleanse these anarthas within us. There are 2 types of separation. First, separation in Mahamaya takes us away from Krishna due to being in illusion. And the second type of separation is Yogamaya separation. Separation in Yogamaya is for the pure devotees of the Lord. Example, Yashoda Maya or the gopis. Separation in Yogamaya brings us closer to Krishna. Jnanam. What is Jnanam? Real meaning of Jnanam is knowledge of self, knowledge of relationship with super soul and knowledge of super soul. Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam give us this knowledge. Jnanam is most confidential knowledge. It is very rahasyam because most of the people don't understand it correctly. What is Vijnanam? Realized knowledge from Krishna and act according to that knowledge, implementing that knowledge and finding the truth by experimenting is called Vijnanam. Accepting as it is and without speculation or diluting this knowledge. Though this knowledge is available to everyone, but understood only by the mercy of the Lord, one can realize and understand his knowledge. Jnanam as well as Vijnanam is realized knowledge. The Lord is always speaking in all scriptures in the same style, same instructions everywhere, same concepts, same voice, same flow. That means Krishna's instructions are same for each and every one. Wherever he goes, he gives same instructions, irrespective to whomever he is speaking to. His instructions will never change, irrespective of kal, person, circumstances, situations, status, wealth, age, gender, etc. That is why the scriptures are so important and relevant eternally, and they should be followed. How can we also get blessings and mercy from the Lord, just like Brahmaji received from him? Just like Brahmaji, we too can receive factual realization from the Lord only by our sincere desire and Lord's mercy. Sri Krishna gives instructions to each and every person equally and through different sources. Just following Krishna's instructions, we become dear to Lord. Others cannot understand or hear his instructions because they are bewildered and captured by the Shakti of Mahamaya, which is also the Lord's Shakti. The Chaturshloki Bhagavatam are the 4 verses that talk about who is Lord and establishes his supremacy. They give us Jnanam and Vijnanam. The first verse of Chaturshloki Bhagavatam is Jnanam or knowledge, and the second verse is Vijnanam or realizations. The first verse establishes the Sambandha Gyan, understanding the supremacy of the Lord and our relationship with him. Those who are surrendered to Krishna are being controlled by Yogamaya. Those not surrendered are controlled by Mahamaya. Gopis in Vrindavan and Yashoda Maya all were controlled by Yogamaya of Krishna. Therefore, the Vrajavasis were so close to Krishna. Others who are controlled by Mahamaya are away from Krishna. The more we think about Krishna and connect everything to Krishna, the more we are under Yogamaya. The more we think separate from Krishna is Mahamaya. When there is the influence of 3 modes of material nature and the Mahamaya, we become illusioned, conditioned souls. When we attach ourselves to the material world, we develop detachment from the spiritual world. The Lord has given each one of us some amount of free will only to realize who we are and use our free will to go back home, back to Godhead, and not for our selfish desires or our sense gratification. There are a few similarities between Yogamaya and Mahamaya. Both are bewildering and both are energies of the Lord. Mahamaya has 2 potencies. First, bewilderment or avidya or negative potency, allurement and sense gratification, covers like a screen so that we cannot approach the Lord and bewilders the living entity. The second type is vidya potency or positive potency, makes us understand about our soul and makes us understand the impersonal aspect of the Lord. Those who are inclined on the spiritual path and adopting some method to approach the Lord, the vidya potency of Mahamaya is helping us or helping them. Yogamaya potency, which is the other type, is the spiritual bewilderment. This covers the devotees from revelation of Krishna so that they can come closer to Krishna and develop pure love for them. Gopis of Vrindavan were bewildered by Yogamaya. Srimad Bhagavatam has a real definition of success. Aim of human life is self-realization. Function of human body is to attain success in self-realization and advance in spiritual path. Differences between animals and humans are only at the subtle body level. At the gross body level and soul level, both animals and humans are same. Human beings are misusing their subtle bodies, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Therefore, human beings are always going in the wrong direction and always trying to lord it over material nature. To transcend this material world, only our consciousness matters. Other things like gross body and soul doesn't matter. We need to do all improvements on our conscious level, subtle body level, and the rest will fall in place. In other paths, evolvement of consciousness and chances of improving the intelligence are very less. But in Bhakti Yoga, it is purely on the conscious level. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate for everyone. To control our mind, we need to take some help. We cannot control our mind just by itself. Intelligence and knowledge are interrelated. We can train our intelligence only through our knowledge. Right knowledge comes only through Guru, Sadhus, and Shastras. This knowledge empowers our intelligence and thus helps us to control our mind. The more we chant, the more we follow our spiritual master, and the bhakti process will all help us in controlling our mind. How do we purify our senses? Only by serving the Lord and engaging our senses in the service of the Lord, we can purify our senses, converting all our activities into Krishna conscious activities. Bhakti process works as a shock absorber in our lives. Bhakti helps us to keep the anxieties and stresses minimizing or nullifying their effects upon us. This knowledge is not just a philosophy, but it's a manual of our life created by Lord Krishna himself. First, we need to practice these principles ourselves and then preach others. This is how we can follow in the footsteps of Brahmaji and all our acharyas in the disciplic succession. How should one approach a spiritual master? We should learn from the example set by our acharyas. Narad Muni became a great devotee of the Lord by following his spiritual master Brahmaji. We should all strive to possess the characteristics and qualities of Narad Muni. Complete faith and surrender to our spiritual master is the first point. Second is sevaya, rendering service to Guru. Sevaya is of two types: Vapu Seva, physical seva or direct seva. Second is Vani Seva, whatever knowledge Guru is giving, to follow his instructions. And the third is implementation of those instructions. Unless and until we engage our senses in Krishna Seva, we cannot progress on the path of bhakti. Progression from Godasa to Goswami is the correct way of progression. The Chaturshloki Bhagavatam covers three main concepts of spiritual knowledge, which are Sambandha Gyan, Abhideya Gyan, and Prayojana Gyan. Our understanding will be accurate when we understand from our acharyas. Shruti is knowledge directly received from the Lord, but Smriti are the detailed explanation of those verses through the realization of our acharyas. Therefore, understanding through Smriti is very nectarian and effective. Srimad Bhagavatam is a spotless Puran. It is the sweetest nectar or the ripened fruit. Irrespective of where we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the nectar keeps flowing from the very beginning up to the very end. We are extremely fortunate to receive this transcendental knowledge in our Guru Parampara, all the way from Lord Krishna to Brahmaji, to Naradji and Vyasadevji, to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and finally through our Param Guru, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you and Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. I think after hearing so many beautiful thing I heard, it's very nice.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
I mean, now I'm realizing, did I speak all this thing?
Yes, you have spoken much more. I was not able to include everything, and I'm really sorry that
it felt like that I'm hearing from some Guru Maharaj. So many points. I couldn't believe it. Oh my God, it's fantastic.
No, thank you to you, and sorry it became so long. I was trying to
no. I mean,
include, but
I was waiting. I was when you stopped. I realized, oh, now the nectar was coming from you, and it stopped suddenly. I was meditating. All your points. It's wonderful. I hope others also had the same opinion. You can speak. Anyone would like to speak?
Yes, I was so sorry. I was listening and I got a phone call, so I missed some. But while I was listening, I was thinking, this sounds like a Back to Godhead magazine article.
Yes.
So well formulated and thought out, and I really liked it. Thank you. It was great.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. It's all because everybody's blessings are there. I just put in a small attempt. I was very scared when Prabhuji told me to present the summary, and I have been very nervous all along because I knew I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. I didn't feel I'm worthy of doing so, but thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you for your blessings.
Yeah, I think it showed that you were listening very attentively.
Yes.
It really showed in your words.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mataji.
No, I also felt like, Rasraj Prabhu said this point, and I was like, oh my God, I never made note of this point. It's really nice, Mataji. So, I felt like I'm seriously listening to someone, so like a Guru Maharaj. Yeah.
Thank you. No,
Oh,
this
nice.
is just a small, like I said, a tribute to our Prabhuji. He has been guiding us so beautifully all along. So just a small attempt and effort. And please forgive me for any mistakes that I have committed today.
Wonderful, Mataji. It's like, I mean, really, it's like, I was just completely lost, the nectar, the way it was coming, the points, very nice, Please share those notes to me. I will keep it.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody for listening so patiently. Thank you so much.
Very nice. Is there any question from anyone? Anyone would like to say anything? Okay, thank you. So it was wonderful. So I think we'll have a more such summary from Aparna Mataji. Really, it's excellent narration and speech. So we can stop here and offer our obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpataru hischa kripa sindhu vayevacha pattitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada